What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Tomato Cans Podcast. As usual, this is B Nasty. Coming along with me is Chris, the Sperm Hand.
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
Man, what a night of fights, huh?
Holy shit! I tell you what, dude, it was a great night of fights. Well, first, before we get into the fights, I mean, it was cool just to see some sort of live sporting event.
Right.
We hadn't seen live sports and good sports, for quite a while. So that was cool to see, man.
Kind of eerie, kind of strange, right? All the no audience and
yeah,
no
no crowd. So, I would say though, like, I thought that was kind of cool in a way because it brought out maybe the drama in the fight. You could hear more going on in the fight.
Definitely.
So it definitely brought out that one-on-one, the individual drama. But you couldn't hear the people in the background, cheering if somebody landed a big strike or if somebody started really getting the advantage. You couldn't hear that noise.
Yeah.
But with that being said, man, hell of a night of fights, right?
Yeah, there wasn't. I mean, besides the Watterson fight, everything else was pretty definitive.
Yeah. So I would say there was early on there were quite a few decisions. Yeah. The Watterson decision. That was a questionable one, I suppose. It could have gone either way. What else is on that early card? The Luque fight. So Luque won.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think. Cerrone. Oh, the Cerrone-Pettis fight. That was back and forth, too. I mean, I definitely think Pettis won. I didn't see it really as like 30-27.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I did not see that. We were talking during the fight. I think we had a 1-1. And then whoever took the third round.
Yeah, pretty much. And, I mean, hey, Pettis looked good. He looked a lot quicker. I think both those guys, they're kind of like the same. They've always been good. And as time wears on, they're at this point now where they're kind of the same level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not, neither one of them are like necessarily championship quality, but they're not, lower level fighters.
They're still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, there's still that guy that can still do some damage. So seeing them fight for a second time this time around, I was hoping that Pettis would lose and Cowboy would win just so there'd be a third fight.
Right.
That being said, though, I mean, Pettis was definitely quicker.
Yeah.
And he was countering everything that Cowboy had. So, I mean, hey, he put it on him,
After that eye poke, Cerrone got a little pissed off.
Yeah, that's true. They started to scrap a little bit more after the eye poke, and just still, man. Ooh, shit.
Oh wow.
Sorry about that. But still, with that being said, yeah, I mean, Pettis definitely won that fight. The Verdum fight, Olenek versus Verdum.
Yeah.
Verdum had like a 2-year layoff coming to this fight, so that was. For me, I wasn't really expecting him to look as good or as sharp as normal. But to be honest, neither one of those fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, they did not look sharp.
Yeah.
That was definitely, it looked like a tune-up fight for both of them.
Well, they both look really sluggish, man.
Oh, yeah, really that's for sure. Yeah, that was not a pretty fight, but still, I guess Olenek got the win. I mean, he should have gotten the win, I thought. I picked him beforehand.
Yeah.
But it was not pretty at all, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I guess actually I said the Pettis Cerrone, that was actually 29-28. That wasn't 30-27. The Esparza and Watterson fight was 30-27.
That's right.
And I thought Esparza won, but I definitely didn't think it was 30-27. I thought that was 1-1 going into the third round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
We didn't get to see the Span and the Span versus Alvey fight or the Bryce Mitchell versus Rosa fight, but those were on the early prelims, so. What
happened? Was it Corona or was it weight stuff?
No, I mean, we didn't get to the feed. Yeah. So,
okay.
So Ryan Span beat Sam Alvey via decision, a split decision, and Bryce Mitchell beat Charles Rosa, a unanimous decision. Mitchell's was a 30-25, 30-25, and a 30-24. So that's a beatdown. I mean, that's a beatdown.
Yeah.
And Span won split decision 29-28, 29-28, 28-29. So
wow.
That was close. We didn't get to see those fights, but getting outside of the prelim card with Luque beating Price, Esparza beating Watterson, Olenek beating Verdum, and then Pettis beating Cerrone, you get into the main card. So Greg Hardy fought Jorgen De Castro in the first fight of that card.
Yeah, that was a slow fight too, man.
Well, the same thing, man. De Castro, he started out hot. I mean, I thought for sure he came right out of the gate swinging. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everything went downhill for him after he missed that kick.
He hit the one kick. I guess Hardy checked the kick. He broke his foot or messed something up. But literally at that point, I think there was literally about 3 minutes left in the second round at that point. Yeah. And then from then on to the end of the fight, he had pretty much no offense.
He wasn't limping or showing any signs of being hurt, though.
No, he wasn't really showing signs of being hurt, but he also wasn't fighting.
Yeah.
So
he had a chance, man. Those leg kicks were doing some damage, dude.
I tell you what, man. Greg Hardy's a big old boy, too.
Right.
And I didn't realize he was that big. I mean, he's big. I knew he was big, but when you start thinking he's 6'5", and even they were saying during the broadcast, he cut, obviously here he's in fighting shape, but when he was playing football, he was at 300 pounds at one point playing football. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
a big old boy, man. But I don't know. He's got some skill. He's definitely talented. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily cheer for him.
It's all that athletic stuff, you know?
Yep. And we touched on that, man. That athleticism, especially playing another professional sport at a high level. Yeah. And being able to do that consistently, that definitely carries over and that shows in another sport like this. Yeah. It takes you to a certain point, and then after that point,
Yeah, I don't see him becoming any of the top tier, beating any of the top tier.
No, absolutely not. I can't see him, I can't really see him going and winning a title against, Ngannou. You know what I mean? Man. I mean, say Stipe doesn't fight, and say DC's going to retire. So what?
I bet you DC would take that fight.
Dude, did you see the look on DC's face whenever Ngannou finished that fight? I mean, they cut to that shot of DC, and DC just mouth wide open, like
DC doesn't want any part of that.
Hell no. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't. I love DC. I don't want to see DC take any piece of that, man.
Man, before the main event, I was like, Ngannou has the fight of the night, man.
Yep. Yeah, I tell you, man. So as we keep going, I mean, what do we have next? We had the Calvin Kattar fight versus Stevens. That was a good fight.
Yeah.
Stevens, man, I don't know. He looked like he just got out of a tanning booth, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he had been on the beach and walked right off the beach to get into this fight.
Too much beach time or something, man.
Jeez. And not only that, I mean, he looked like he had 3 rounds of cardio right before he walked in there.
Right.
He looked like he was definitely warm.
Yeah.
To say the least. But Kattar, man, that reach.
Yeah.
That
big ups to him, man.
Yeah, that reach was the big difference, I think. And it was a back and forth scrap, but once Kattar started kind of, asserting his dominance, that was it. I mean, he hit him with a big shot. And what are you going to do? Second round KO. You know what I mean? And then Ngannou.
Oh, wow. God. Wow. Yeah, I can't see anybody right now in the heavyweight division taking him, man.
No, I mean, and here we go. Same thing. So they say Ngannou's got the next shot pretty much. But that's supposed to be DC versus Stipe. Mm-hmm. However, Stipe right now is saying he doesn't want to fight, or he's not going to fight, or he can't. I don't know exactly what it is. So what do you do, man? I mean, do you strip Stipe? Do you make Stipe fight against Ngannou, or do you make him fight against DC since that's what's supposed to be happening?
Hey, man, I wouldn't blame Stipe if he wanted to vacate just so he wouldn't. Because it's more than just losing a fight, man. You could lose, your mental capacity fighting that guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a fragile thing, and kind of, we'll touch on it even with the Tony Ferguson fight versus Gaethje, but just like you said, man, when it comes down to getting beat up like that,
well, even he said himself, man, when this guy called me out, I was thinking he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, ain't that the truth? I mean, even going into it, man. I mean, I was saying, and I don't think it's like really going against the norm to say that Rosenstruik had the better background in striking. You know what I mean? Rosenstruik definitely had a more decorated background in striking, kickboxing, or maybe Muay Thai. I'm not sure, but he came in undefeated, 10-0. Man, Francis, God, that guy's so scary.
Yeah, it was like he had no respect for Rosenstruik's strength or anything striking. He just steam rushed him.
Did not give a fuck, man. He just rolled over him.
Was that 20 seconds or some shit like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was quick, I mean, you look at they were kind of feeling each other out.
Yeah.
And then before you know it,
windmills are coming.
Yeah, windmills. I mean, that's the best way to put it, man. It was just windmills. He was just throwing bombs. Caught him with that left. And then on his way down, before he even gets all the way to the ground, he's against the cage. He catches another left, and then he ate a few shots there in the ground. I mean, that's a finish.
He was out cold.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, you could tell even as he's hitting the ground, he is already done for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gosh, that was a hell of a fight to see. I'm not surprised that Ngannou did that, but at the same time, I am surprised because I thought they would kind of feel each other out or there'd be a little bit more of a scrap.
Maybe he was a little bit pissed off that he got called out.
That's true. I mean, just like you said, as he said afterward, I don't know if I'm going to. I just call it like I see it.
Right.
So Mr. Cool, man. You know what I mean? He's up there talking. You couldn't even you could barely hear him. It's almost like it reminded me of like Shaq. When you hear Shaq talking, Shaq's like, hey, man, I just you know what I mean? That's what it reminded me of. That's funny though. I mean, hey. All props to him, though, man. That was a hell of a fight.
He is a killer.
That was a hell of a fight.
I don't know who would take on that fight, man.
Yeah, the heavyweight division right now, because that was the number one contender fight, quote unquote. But you look like Dos Santos is rated or ranked above him. There's a couple other guys I think ranked above him. Curtis Blades, so. But I don't see Curtis Blades really putting up a good fight, if he fought Stipe.
I don't see anybody putting up a good fight against him.
Yeah, I don't see anybody putting a good fight up against Ngannou, and I think if even Stipe takes the rematch, that first fight with the two of them, Ngannou was so tentative, and it was almost maybe like a little too soon, that kind of a feel. However, that being said, he fought, and it was a good fight. Stipe definitely won, but man, coming into if they did it again, I don't know, man. That's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a tough task for anybody.
Whew, man,
he's scary, dude. He is scary.
Yeah. I don't see anybody beating him. Not right now. Not the way that he looked tonight. It was crazy.
And it's a transition too. I mean. A lot of those guys at the top, aside from Curtis Blades, you look like a lot of those guys are older. DC's older, Stipe's older, Dos Santos is older.
Yeah.
Olenek is older. He lost, but Greg Hardy's still in his 30s. It's not like he's a young guy.
He's a punching bag, man.
Yeah, if Hardy goes into that top 5, top 3, or even championship contender, him versus Francis. I'm sorry, man, but
no contest, man.
From what I saw tonight, I don't see Hardy putting up that big of a fight.
Yeah, I actually thought that Rosenstruik had a chance before.
I did too. I thought he had a really good chance because, like I said, on paper, he's definitely the striking is there. But in the moment when things start happening, how do you defend against the windmills, though,
right?
Exactly. Literally, Ngannou just straight up just charged him and just started swinging. You know?
You can't go into a fist fight with this guy, man. You have to be a grappler. You have to take him down immediately.
Well, and that's what Stipe did such a good job of in their first fight, was nullifying that punching power. He did a good job of trying to keep it close, make it more dirty boxing, make it more clinching, or at least. Even when they were separated, Stipe was not staying in a spot to get hit.
Right.
However, Ngannou was being pretty tentative. Tonight he was definitely aggressive.
Yeah, and I think that just comes with experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a big moment. I mean, there was a lot of talk too, like right before Ngannou took that fight with Stipe, like he was in France partying, vacationing, just doing whatever, enjoying himself, which can't blame the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, you're on top of the world right now. No one can stop you, and shit.
I know. You just keep going. I mean, I definitely think this is going to be that stepping stone fight for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of the new breed,
Yeah, man. Building on not just the confidence, but, getting all that under your resume definitely builds you up to be a better fighter. You don't go in being the same fighter before if you just keep on killing people,
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
So,
and he's just going to keep getting better. I mean, again, he's at that age where I think he'll keep getting better, where you look at DC. DC is kind of just waiting for one fight to see his way out.
Right.
Stipe is kind of up in the air. Like, I mean, he might fight again. He might fight a couple more times, but he's not he's not going to be that guy that's going to dominate the division for the next 5-10 years. There's not really any guy I see, especially in heavyweight, that if they get to that point, that's Ngannou.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody else really doing that right now.
Right.
Heavyweight division's kind of gotten a little stagnant.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's definitely going to make it to the top.
That guy's a beast.
He's going to hold it for a while, man.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, it's like a storybook or like a movie. You know what I mean? This guy grew up. He was working in sand mines.
Right. From the bottom of the bottom.
I mean, literally from the bottom of the bottom. Working in sand mines. He's homeless at one point.
Yeah.
And then now look at him, like,
top of the world, man. Partying in Paris, right?
Yeah, exactly. Drinking from the cup till it runneth over. You know what I mean? Just enjoying it. Hey, I ain't mad at him.
Hey, yeah.
Take it.
He
you
earned
do
it,
it.
man.
Oh, hell yeah, he earned it. So. And then, so what about the Cejudo fight? Cejudo and Cruz. Dominic Cruz, Henry Cejudo. That was a surprising fight for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of thought that Cejudo had it all the way. Just the kind of character he is,
Yeah.
He's, not saying anything bad. He definitely works hard and he's decorated. From every which angle you want to look at.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart move on his point to retire at this age.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, for him to win. Well, first of all, for him to beat Dominic Cruz the way he did tonight, and Dominic Cruz, okay, now granted he's coming off of like a 3-year layoff, so of course it's going to be harder to get into it, and look the same. But that being said, Cruz has been at the top always.
Right.
He's never not been one of the top tier guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to see Cejudo come in there, I mean, he looked way quicker.
Yeah.
He was chopping him down with those leg kicks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely the sharper fighter tonight.
Yeah, and it showed. I mean, part of that's probably age. Part of that's probably not fighting for a long time. Timing.
Cruz was out for 3 years, but he's probably training every day still.
Anyways, yeah, I would put it more on the age factor. I mean, Cejudo's younger. Cejudo he looked better in the ring.
Yeah,
And Cruz, for him, he does a lot of that unorthodox movement, those weird movements.
That shit was not working tonight for nobody. Man.
And that's exactly, yeah. I mean, you look and even touched on the main event with Ferguson. Both those guys, they move so strange and it's so unique and it's worked for them so often before. Tonight, nobody was having that shit.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It wasn't fooling nobody. Man.
Hell no, man. And that was the biggest surprise for me because Cruz, he started there were a couple times he started finding the the faking for the takedown, and then as Cejudo would react, he'd catch him with the shot. But that was few and far between.
Yeah.
In between, Cejudo, again, those leg kicks just started it off for him.
Yeah. And I agree with the stoppage, man. He ate, 11 unanswered punches?
Yeah. And that's a big thing, too, with it, right? I mean, Cruz can say he was on his way back up. And, again, I'm not going to say he wasn't, but he ate a big knee, and then he took a solid shot on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And then even after that, yeah, he took like 10 or 11
Yeah.
shots. I mean, unanswered. As he's moving around, yes, but there are a couple points in that where his face is kind of, bobbing up a little.
There was
down.
more clean punches than there were misses, man.
Yeah, for sure. And so with that being said, I don't mind that stoppage. It sucks. I mean, I wanted Cruz to win just to see it. He's a legend, but shit, you can't derail that Triple C, I guess.
Yeah.
The only person that can stop him is himself since he retired.
Yeah. That's gotta suck with Cruz though, man.
Dude.
He was probably like, man, I'm gonna get this fucker next time.
Did you see that look on in the background on him and Dana White's face as Cejudo's in there just like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you guys, and I'm gonna retire, and then just blank stares from Dana White and Cruz in the back. Like,
Did he call Dana uncle?
yeah, yeah, he may have. I'm not sure if he said Uncle Dana or if he just said thank you, Dana White, but whatever.
I heard uncle, man.
Might as
Dana
well.
White's been hanging out with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. What's up, nephew? My nephew Cejudo just retired.
I think that's a smart move on his part.
No, I mean it really is, and watching the UFC embeddeds coming into this, Cejudo did make a comment on, I think it like episode 4, maybe episode 5, episode 4. I can't remember off the top of my head. He made a comment that he thought right now, if he put the time in, that he could make the Olympic team again in wrestling.
Oh yeah.
So what if that's what he wants to do? What if he wants to go back, win these titles that he won, defended this title now, and then he wants to go back, try to make the Olympic team and win another gold medal.
Get some more endorsements and then come back to the UFC.
And then be the 4C, not the triple C, but the quad C, man.
All right.
C4.
Hey, man.
C4.
If he can do it, more power to him.
It's just the bomb explosive, I mean, you never know. That could be a possibility. That's crazy to think, though, Hey, man, I'm not going to, hate on him, though. If I could do it, you fucking right, I'd do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I was that high level of not just an MMA fighter, but a previous Olympic champion at wrestling.
Well, even with that, I mean, who's left for him? You know what I mean?
In the fight game, I mean, now, just...
He's mopping up everybody, so...
Yeah, my biggest thing against the way it all went down is he's literally kind of walking away from 2 divisions, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he had the belt in both divisions. And beforehand, he was even kind of complaining about, how he didn't want the 125 to get shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're retiring. Who's gonna pick it up?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's especially if he was the most relevant one in that division.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much the most relevant one with his persona now in the 135 division. And now he's just walking away cool, man. Yeah, for sure. He deserved, I mean, there's no doubt that he doesn't deserve to do it. You know what I mean? He earned it. But with that being said, it's just kind of dude, you're leaving this shit in more limbo, which it was already uncertainty.
Yeah.
And hell, I guess we'll just look forward to more fights. Different people.
Man.
I mean, that's the biggest thing about the UFC. When fighters have retired, you look at Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Rich Franklin, older guys, as they retire, there's the newer breed. Anderson Silva's, your Vitor Belfort's, whoever it might be, as they kind of come along. Belfort didn't win a belt, but you know what I mean? Right. John Jones, you look at all these guys, the newer guys, as they all fall off and start retiring, the sport's not going to change.
No. There's always going to be new talent that just pops up.
New people will be coming in. It's just which of those guys are going to show that they can do what the people that are established have done.
You know what's crazy to me is 10 years ago, you had to be like a jiu-jitsu black belt to survive in the UFC.
Right.
But these days, the matches hardly go to the ground anymore, man. Or if they do, they're right back up to their feet again.
It's funny because I think, kind of touching on you were saying, I think you go back to that certain point, and if you were the expert in that certain area, looking at Hoist Gracie in the early UFCs, I mean, and that kind of goes down the line, the older fighter kind of starts giving way to the newer generation. Even with once the Ultimate Fighter show started, you started seeing a lot of those guys that have made names for themselves now, and that was at the time, that was kind of the new era, and that was what really brought the UFC to what it is now. You know what I mean? That transition time from 2002 or so until now, and then when Dana White and Zuffa bought him, and then when they started the Ultimate Fighter, before then it was just kind of you know, and you heard about it maybe, but it wasn't what it is today.
No, definitely not.
Over time, the brand is built up, the fighters their names have been built up, but they both kind of prop each other up. You know what I mean? And with that being said, you look when some of these guys start dropping off or retiring, there's a whole new group that's ready. Yeah. It's just they got to prove it, you know? Yeah. You look at like Adesanya, you know, and
yeah, that guy's, I don't see too many people like him, man.
I mean, that guy's legit. Yeah. You know, I like his persona. I like he's kind of like that infusion, you know? He's like kind of that nerdy kid. You know, he's big into anime, and he's big into doing like the choreographed dances, and he does all this stuff that you wouldn't think of some hard ass fucking fighter doing. Right. You know what I mean? But he's both.
I can't wait for him and Bones to meet up, man.
Oh man, that'll be a fight. Yeah. And dude, I tell you, like, Adesanya is just as big as John Bones. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't really think about it because they fight in different weight classes, but Adesanya could easily fight in 205.
Or Bones could drop down a little bit.
Bones could probably make to 185, but Bones can also fight it. He could easily fight heavyweight and make a heavyweight fight. And I bet you he'd probably beat 90% of those guys too, if you really wanted to. You know what I mean?
But he couldn't go up against Ngannou.
No, talk about a fight. No. Yeah,
Bones is way too small for
you. Wouldn't want to see that though.
I don't know, man.
You wouldn't want to see that. You wouldn't want to see those two fucking big dudes.
I wouldn't mind watching it, but I know the outcome already, man.
You know, well, and here's my thought on that is either way you're gonna be happy, right? I mean, if Jones wins, you're like, holy shit, this guy is that great. Despite all the bullshit that he does, all the fuckery, you know, right? He still shows that he's that man.
I don't know. Do you get the sense that he's slowing down a little bit based on the last two fights?
The last couple fights, but that's also like we're talking with the evolution of fighters, right? This kind of new generation. I mean, you're talking like, who was his last fight? Dominic Reyes, right? Yeah. So Reyes, you know, he's been training for how long now? I mean, since he was a lot younger, and we have now you're starting to see where even kids they start training at 5, 6, 7 years old, jiu-jitsu, and then work your way up. I mean, we train with so many kids, or we know so many kids out of our gym, you know. So just off of looking at that, sky's the limit for some of these guys. So I don't necessarily know if it's John Jones losing a step or if it's the gap between is starting to close. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, look at same thing. Like when Anderson Silva came in, I mean, I was watching his fights before he got to the UFC. So when he got in there, I was like, oh, this guy, you know, he just destroys Lieben. Yeah. And he makes it look like nothing, you know? And then his fights with Rich Franklin when he wins the belt, same thing. It was like watching a minor leaguer, you know, throw softball pitches to a major league batter. You know what I mean? It's just a different caliber. It's a different quality. And at that time, I think it was, I mean, they were both relatively the same age. I just don't think the fight game as far as the UFC fighter caliber at that point was on par with what was starting to evolve. Yeah. Because even there for a while, look at Pride. You know, Pride versus UFC. There was a long time where Pride was much better than the UFC. Yeah. You know,
we're also all juiced up though.
Exactly. But that made it, I mean, that made the Pride fighting what it was. You know what I mean? God, there were so many times when I always wanted to see those big, like, Pride versus UFC crossovers. Right. And they even did the one with Vanderlei Silva and oh jeez, I can't think.
Was it Rampage?
Maybe it was. Anyways, so it was like it was a one thing, and they were supposed to bring it back over to the UFC, and then it ended up not happening. You know, after it all went down. But point being, you know, like there was a long time where it was Pride versus UFC. you know.
Yeah, and then when those guys crossed over to the UFC,
They were older at that point, and then like you said too, I think the lack of steroid help,
yeah.
you know, it really started showing.
It showed a lot, dude.
Well,
Look
yeah.
at like Shogun. Shogun got fat once he got to the
Yeah.
UFC.
Oh
man.
yeah, for sure. And Shogun was still good, but same thing. Look at what Shogun was coming over to the UFC.
Right.
Even when he won the belt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he came over, you know, he did his shit, he won the belt, and then when John Jones fought him.
Yeah.
And John Jones fucking opens the fight with that flying knee. Like, that's the first fucking move he does against this, you know, crazy legend of a fucking fighter.
Right.
And not only does he open with the fucking flying knee, but he manhandles him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally dropped him by choking him out like a sack of potatoes. He hits the mats, you know, and a stand-up fucking choke.
Crow Cop, same thing, man. Crow Cop was a beast over at Pride. Came over, and
he was, you know, middle of the road in the UFC when he was finally established. And it's the same thing though. Look at like Alistair Overeem. Mm-hmm. Look how long he's been fighting, and even in the UFC, he's had his runs in the UFC where he was Ubereem, and he just was a monster.
Yeah,
and then he's had some of these fights now as he gets older, where you know he's still a good fighter, but you also know he's not the caliber to win the title again.
Yeah,
you know?
He was one of those guys, obviously really athletic.
A lot of horse meat.
Yeah, that shit carried him for a long time.
Yeah.
And so now when you lose half a step and you got these young bucks coming up and they're a lot bigger and a lot more hungry, you know, it just doesn't carry anymore.
And even with Overeem, look at him, man. He started... when he was starting out with just kickboxing and stuff, he was skinny.
Yeah.
He was so skinny. I mean, not like so skinny, you know, but he was definitely a hell of a lot smaller than he is now, you know, and he's worked his way up. And I mean, he definitely earned his stripes along the way. But point being is, you know, as the times change, these transitions between fighters, it's crazy to see like the gaps are closing. And I mean, even the dominant guys now, like Ngannou, like we're saying, we don't see that changing for however long.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, a year from now, some motherfucker could just show up out of nowhere, and that's the next big thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? 2 years from now, a guy you've never heard of, you know, Bob XYZ comes around.
That's true, man. It's
crazy to think. And, yeah, we didn't even get into the main event.
Yeah, not yet.
Man,
I don't know what to say about that, dude. I mean, I feel sorry for El Kukui, man.
God, that's a tough thing. I tell you what, though, all in all, the fights were great. You know, good night of fights. Gaethje versus Kukui. I thought Ferguson was gonna win going into it, and yeah, he definitely got dominated.
Yeah, no, I didn't really give it to anybody before the fight. You know, I knew that Gaethje was a beast.
Mm-hmm.
And with Ferguson, you know, obviously his conditioning is, you know, at the top. I'd like to see either one fight, Khabib, you know, but Ferguson, the way he performed tonight, I think he left too many openings for Khabib to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think coming off of what we saw tonight. I mean, even Gaethje's going to go in there and he's going to fight. You know, it's going to be a hell of a fight with Khabib. But I tell you what, man, I don't see Khabib losing necessarily either, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Khabib, he's definitely a wrestler before a puncher, but he punches too, you know? So
his boxing has always improved, steadily improved. I mean, even look, when he fought Conor.
He landed some good
For
punches.
as good as Conor's striking is, Conor really only won one round of that fight. And even then, like, Khabib had some good exchanges on the feet. You know? It was definitely more back and forth than you would think it'd be on the feet. And Khabib, I mean, you know, his style is to get in there, take you down, and, you know, pretty much maul you at that point. Gaethje likes to stand up. Gaethje has a wrestling background. Dude, that's going to be a scrap, though, man.
Yeah, I think after seeing the fight tonight, I think that's the better fight.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, either guy comes out, the biggest thing, we don't have to see Ferguson versus Khabib 6. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to see the whole build-up and everything else just for it to not go down. again.
Yeah, well, after tonight, I don't want to see Ferguson get hit anymore, man.
Man, I tell you what, that even for the way it ended with the referee stopping it. I mean, when Ferguson he ate that last shot square on the nose, and he just started shaking his head.
Yeah,
you could tell at that point, like he knew it. You know what I mean? And he probably knew it before then, but going into that 5th round, he was definitely down 4 rounds.
Yeah,
and he was getting eaten alive everywhere.
Hey, you could have made that argument, that uppercut in the round 2, was it? 1 or 2?
Dude, he ate so many shots.
Yeah, he ate so many that it wasn't even fair, man.
I would have to go back and watch the fight necessarily, because there's, just recalling off the top of my head, there's a good 5, 6, 7 shots that you could say that could have been the one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Rogan was saying it, and DC was talking about it. They were talking about how in other fights, those are shots that Gaethje puts people down with, and Ferguson just kept going.
Yeah, big props to his chin, but man, his brain is gonna be no good soon.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, I think. Just like you were saying, and we even mentioned it to each other right after the fight, is that might be the last of what we see of this version of Tony Ferguson.
Yeah,
and that's sad to say. I mean, he's done what he's done, and he's been so good, but he's had some issues before outside of just, UFC stuff. And then you look at something like this, and he takes a lot of damage in all his fights. Every one of his fights is a scrap. It's not just it's not like he's finishing guys in 20 seconds.
Right.
He's not Ngannou. He doesn't go out there and just smash.
No, his fights are definitely entertaining, man.
Yeah, they're entertaining, but they're grinds.
Right. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, he said, pick up the pieces, you keep going, whatever. Many of those just generic phrases you want to say.
Yeah. I think he tried to say at the end with Joe that he was preparing for Khabib.
Yeah.
But I think he trains the way he trains, man. He does all his funky Wing Chun stuff and all the funky movement, the twistings and turnings and stuff. He would have done that for any training camp.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing I noticed with this one, with Gaethje, he's stuck to going straight down the middle. He didn't really react. A lot of times when you look at Ferguson's fights, he's doing all this, and same with Cruz's fights. They do those weird movements, and they do all this, that, and the other. It usually it usually gets people to react. You know what I mean? And it gets them to move, and that's what kind of opens up for them to keep going. I mean, Gaethje just literally went just straight at him. He didn't do a lot of movement. He just stayed going straight at him.
And he showed a lot of restraint, too. Man. There's, like you said, there was plenty of opportunity for him to pounce, but he just kept his distance.
And I think that was probably smart.
Yeah.
There are several times where he probably could have jumped on the finish, but Tony also likes to do that kind of wounded dog where he kind of plays a little possum, and then as you get in closer, he's going to crack you with that weird elbow from some weird angle or get on you,
tie you up and sink in that darce.
Yeah, exactly, man. And that's something else. Even with that, dude, that can come out of nowhere. I mean, Gaethje has a wrestling background, and I don't think Gaethje was really afraid of being taken down, but I mean, who knows?
Shit, his game plan was effective, man. Why change it,
Yeah, it was very effective. And I thought it was kind of cool, too, to see his coach, Trevor Whitman, there in between rounds 4 and 5. Even when he's celebrating and he's so happy, Whitman says to him, hey, last time you got this confident, you lost.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then Gaethje's like, yeah, twice. So they both had realization in that moment, you know, which is kind of cool to see. That's really cool to see, actually.
Right.
But they both understand, like, and especially as a fighter, and he was saying afterwards, too, like, the stuff that he did in the other 2 fights that he lost, it's almost like he's getting too into the fight. You know what I mean? He gets into those brawls so much that he just stays there when he could do other things to win the fight or to make sure he's staying ahead instead of fighting from behind.
Well, it's just showing growth.
Yeah, man, for sure. And that's what's cool to see. I mean, it comes down to it ultimately. If and when he fights Khabib, man, I mean,
That's going to be a good one, man.
dude, you're going to have to keep improving.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, for sure.
There's no doubt about that. And I'd say even the same thing about Habib, though. It's not like, I don't think he is untouchable or unbeatable.
Oh, no, for
you
sure.
know, I mean, I just think that when you're dealing with what he's got right now, that skill set, he's kind of the top of the mountain at this point in time.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to wait until he starts to lose that half step.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing, just like we were just talking about with John Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a lot easier now for guys to kind of make that call out or talk a little bit more,
right?
Knowing that they have more confidence, thinking that this guy's reaching an age where he's not at his peak, he's not at his prime. He's had so many issues in the past, blah blah blah. And Habib's not as old, you know, but I mean, the longer he goes, you know, I've always been a big, you're the same. I know it. I like to gamble. You like to gamble. So I've always been a big proponent of odds, especially with sports gambling.
Yeah.
Streaks are made to be broken.
Yeah.
You know, records are made to be broken. Right. So the longer I see streaks going on, my tendency isn't to cheer for that. My tendency is to start saying, this is the time when you bet against it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's that same kind of thing, man. John Jones, look at his run. It's going to come to an end.
Yeah, I think, but a lot of his pains come from self-infliction.
Yeah, self-infliction.
So,
and well, okay, and even with Khabib, same thing. Like, I think what he's doing now, he's top of the game. That does not mean though that somebody could have a better day,
right,
on any given day. You know what I mean? And
so, who gets Khabib next? Gaethje?
I guess it's Gaethje. Yeah.
What about Masvidal?
I think what they were saying, well, Masvidal was supposed to fight Usman for Usman's title, but then Dana said this week that they had something bigger in line for Masvidal.
Really?
What's bigger than the title fight for Masvidal?
One of those two, right?
Conor? I mean, that's a money fight. It's not.
That's a dangerous fight for Conor.
That's no, for sure. I think though. I mean, as far as if you're looking at it from the standpoint of Masvidal, you're gonna get paid more to do that fight than you would against Usman.
Right.
And I don't see. I mean, besides maybe Colby Covington, since him and Colby have had their backward. You know, they used to be friends, or they hate each other, love each other, whatever it is. So. Those are the only other two fights I could think of for somebody like Masvidal to take that wouldn't be a title fight.
Yeah.
And why would you not take the title fight? I mean, for Dana to say that you've got something bigger lined up, I don't know, man. I don't see. I mean, Masvidal, he's too big for Conor as it is. He's much bigger than Conor, but he's bigger than Khabib. You know, same thing. He's bigger than any of those guys in that division. I would, dude, a 170 fight with him and Conor, that would definitely make some numbers, you know? Yeah. But I think that's a bad day for Conor.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think Dana needs to keep Conor fresh because Conor is the cash cow, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, Conor does need to take another fight soon, though, in my opinion. Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? He said he wanted to mess with all. Oh, yeah, exactly. He said he wanted to fight, like 3 or 4 times this year. Now, granted, with all this shit, the way it's gone down, you know, that changed everybody's plans, and I get it. I mean, again, even like just the fact we got to see fights tonight, that was fucking great. You know, it's been the first time in so long. But, man, I don't know, man. I don't see Conor putting up an amazing fight against somebody like Masvidal. I mean, maybe striking-wise, but it's just the size difference. And Masvidal's a fucking dog.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a dog.
He's like the smaller version of Ngannou. He just doesn't give a fuck, dude.
And he's like a little bit bigger version of like a Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just always in the fight. I mean, even like when he fought Nate, you know, for the bad motherfucker title. Like, I mean, he just literally like same size, but he put it on him.
There's talk about Nick fighting him.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Like Nick versus Conor.
Yeah.
Or like
Nick versus
Nick versus Jorge. Yeah. So I heard both of those. That would be a good fight too, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. Yeah. But same thing. I mean, when was the last time Nick fought? Anderson Silva. Now, what is that? 3 years ago
in the
now?
UFC? I think he's been busy elsewhere though.
Not fighting.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, not fighting. He's I mean, triathlons and everything else. He stays in shape.
Yeah.
But fighting wise, he's under contract with the UFC. So if he wants to fight, it's got to be for the UFC. So
wow,
that's been a long time between his fights too. But I mean, same thing. That's an attractive fight since Jorge fought his brother, beat his brother. So it's like that. Get the revenge factor.
They're all street.
Exactly.
So.
And, I would think same thing. That's the mutual respect. I don't think Jorge would turn that down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's probably a good fight that you could make. That'd be a legit fight.
Yeah, that would be a legit fight, man.
Yeah. And that's just two guys that's one of those fights that outside of looking at like an exciting title fight that you would always want to see.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just two guys that, no matter what, they're going to throw down.
Right.
It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Nick Diaz is going to talk a lot of shit while he's fighting. Jorge Masvidal might put his hands behind his back and throw some flying knee out of nowhere, I mean, you got, Street Jesus versus Nick Diaz.
Yeah.
Who knows what the hell could go on? But it'd be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, man. That'd be I definitely want to watch that one.
Man, overall, I think tonight was an awesome night to see some fights.
Yeah.
It was good. We hadn't seen any sort of live sporting events. We hadn't really hung out, with a group of people. It would have been nicer if we could have gotten a whole Tomato Cans group together tonight. Yeah, but that happens.
I was hoping we put the word out there, but
Yeah, we got a couple of them that they're scared. They're scared to get in front of the microphones.
We know who the real motherfucking G's are.
Yeah, exactly. Real motherfucking G's. Cue the synthesizer. Real motherfucking G's. Hey, yo, doctor, here's another proper track. Anyways. So, yeah, man, it was nice. It was definitely good to see some fights. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed, obviously, getting to, hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad the UFC didn't let us down, man.
Yeah. And that's tough, right? Because, especially with something like this, there's been those other big cards or those other big fights that you really hope are going to show something and they don't quite deliver.
Right.
Right. So getting to see tonight where, that card, even the prelims, man.
Yeah.
Pretty much any of those fights could have been a main card fight.
Mm-hmm.
Even the prelim fights, they could have been, a first or second fight on a main card.
Yeah.
Or definitely on a fight night card.
Well, they've been tied up just like everybody else. So we got a bunch of fighters that are eager to go and get paid, man.
Yeah, it's cool to see. There's going to be two more events in the next week now for the UFC. So we got, UFC 250? When is that? I think that's, next Saturday? Is that next Saturday?
Is it?
Yeah, June 6th. Oh, June 6th.
Oh.
Okay, so we got that. That's like a month. But we've got more fights coming in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Or less than a
week. Or
this
week.
Yeah, we got more fights coming this week. I think he said 3 cards in a week.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool, man. At least we get some sort of semblance of a normalcy with sports,
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see who else follows suit, too.
And I think, too, this is a good trial run for sports in general, right?
Right.
You get a live sporting event. You get to see these athletes kind of in the moment as far as testing for coronavirus and all this. Jacare Souza tested positive, so that fight didn't even happen tonight.
Yeah.
And it's kind of comforting to see that even though he tested positive, they did the testing they needed to do, and they did it soon enough that it doesn't compromise the rest of the card.
Right.
Or at least they say.
Wow.
He could have been around people where they got it, and in 2 weeks from now, they test positive. Who knows? You know what I mean? Point being, though, is you got to go forward, and we talked about that.
You can only do what you can do, and they're trying to be responsible about it.
Yeah.
So that's good. Good on them, man.
Yeah, man. Good for them. And good to see a good event. Again, strange not having the noise.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of that, too, that was kind of cool. It was different.
It definitely added to spectating from home. You can hear everything.
Right.
Those punches sounded nasty, man.
And yeah, that was the biggest difference. You hear in the past, whenever they talk about the fights or the announcers, and they talk about how they could hear a punch land, you know, obviously we've got a little bit of mic help, and when we're watching them on TV, but when you got the crowd noise and stuff too, it drowns it just drowns it out a little bit. So yeah, those like dead on for sure shots you hear, but all the shots in between, it's just like kind of an exchange. Yeah. Tonight, you know, and probably going forward for however long, every single punch, you know, it sounded like slap. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there was noise behind it.
We heard every punch that Ferguson took, man.
Oh my gosh, dude. And he took a lot. Oh. He took a lot. You know, I was joking around. There was that meme coming into this fight. There was the meme of, it's like Tony Ferguson's face and then all his last 6 opponents or whatever around his face. Yeah. And all of them are all cut up and bloodied. You know, they look like zombies or something. And he's in the middle smiling. Well, man, I tell you what, Gaethje walked away tonight. Yeah. He looked clean.
He was very clean.
I mean, he walked away looking like Jon Snow. He looked beautiful. You know what I mean? He looked like nothing happened to him.
Yeah. Ferguson was all busted up.
Dude, Ferguson took a beating. Yeah. You know, that was a big surprise. I mean, that to me was the biggest surprise. Not that Gaethje won, but just how lopsided it was. Yeah, man. You know, I didn't expect that. What's up?
Do you hear that?
What do you hear?
You don't hear that?
What?
Oh, that's Charles.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hear people talking in the other room. We had a ghost on the line. Don't worry about
it. I hear a kid's voice, man.
Yeah, I heard that too. I didn't know that's what you're talking. That's the other room, bro. Yeah, okay.
I thought Charles went to bed.
You're fucking freaking me out, man. We got a ghost on the line.
Shit.
That we're gonna have to get into that one of these episodes too, man.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, that's something I don't think we throw in on this one, but damn it, I know just as much as I believe in ghosts, I know you do the same. You know what I mean? So and I know we've talked about it before, but we've definitely both had experiences with it. Yeah. You know, so that's definitely something that'll get brought up one of these fucking days. That'll be fun to talk about. People will really think we're crazy then. Oh, yeah. Fuck them. Fuck those motherfuckers.
How long has it been?
Dude, I don't
over an hour now, I think.
Is it already been that long?
10 o'clock when we first started.
Oh, I don't know. I gotta walk over there and look really fast. Nope, I won't walk over there and look. You look, I'll just come over here and keep everybody entertained. So this podcast is not sponsored by anybody. However, I'm drinking Corona right now. I'm enjoying a nice little vape from the medical shop.
We've been talking about Manscaped a lot.
Yeah, Manscaped. Even tonight, man, that Manscaped shit, man. They had advertisements in the ring.
They're legit now.
I tell you what, dude, I did not know, and I'm gonna make this an initiative. We need to stop this manscaping bullshit.
I don't think that's how we get.
No, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. # bring back the bush. You know that's gonna be my thing. Bring back the bush. And there goes our manscaping, our sponsorship.
We'll come back to the phantom hair, man.
Yeah, man.
The phantom pube.
Dude, I tell you what, speaking of that, man, it's getting hot. Mm-hmm. It's getting fucking hot. It's time to start pulling out the Gold Bond. Oh. I mean, I've been feeling the chafing lately. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And now we are not sponsored by Gold Bond, but I will say that Gold Bond, definitely good for your nuts in this hot weather. Put it on there, you won't chafe. You'll thank me later. I'm not gonna manscape, but I goddamn will put some powder on my balls. All right, yeah. I'm all about that shit. Wow, we just took it up a notch right now. We went from UFC fights to talking about balls again.
That's right, man.
That's the shit.
Got to come back to the balls.
What time were we at over there?
55, almost 2 hours.
God dang! Yeah. Again, we still didn't even touch on much.
No,
I mean we talked about the fights, which is not a bad thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, man. What do you think? Think we call this one?
Yeah, we'll call it.
I mean, it's been an hour. You know, I don't want to lose people, especially we literally just spent an hour talking about the UFC fights. That's fucking great for us.
Yeah
you know.
That's cool.
So hey, again, guys, thanks for listening. Every episode we're just going to keep getting better. I hope you guys have noticed we're working on the sound. The sound should be better for the last couple episodes. It'll keep getting better going forward.
Yeah.
You know, we're still improving. Still having some video issues, but
still looking for sponsors.
Yep, still looking for sponsors. Manscaping. I know you heard me. Come on, call him, buddy.
Who doesn't want tomato cans under them?
I mean, exactly. Like Coors Light tomato cans. That sounds like a good collaboration to me. Crown Royal. I'm here, buddy. I'm here. I'll set a fucking bottle out every damn day. You want me to take a drink out of that bottle for the camera and tell you how it goes down smooth? I got you. I'm all about it. I am a advertising whore, except for manscaping.
Blue mattress, fleshlight.
I mean, any fleshlight, let's bring it on. Pornhub.com, bro. I tell you what, I got the app. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Let's do this shit. Just enter the code #tomato cans and get yourself. You know, we're not there.
Whatever.
Yet,
anything.
Yeah,
anything.
one of these
Fill
days.
in the blank.
One of these days. Yeah, just for shits and giggles, if you guys are listening and you get bored, go ahead and type in tomato cans on Pornhub and see what happens. I have no idea. I haven't been there yet, but hey, maybe it'll bring something up for us
Guaranteed
to talk about.
You'll see some sperm on there.
Oh my God, you better. The money shot. It's got to be the money shot. Or the money shot getting squashed. You know, something. It's got to be good. Well, shit, man.
Yeah.
Again, here we go.
Fun.
That was great. This shit goes by so fast.
Hey, man. We're pulling 2-a-days in.
I know. Dude, no bullshit. If we could do this every day,
I'd do it.
You know what I mean? I'd be down to do it. I love this shit. But man, B, again, as always, good to talk to you. And
yeah, for sure, bro.
All those other tomato can bitches that didn't make it tonight and ditched out on us.
Man,
one of these
better
days.
Make it soon, dude.
I tell you what, guys, we try to get some of the group together tonight for this podcast, but they weren't having it. They're scared.
Yeah, well,
They're
we know
scared.
who the G's are.
Mm-hmm. G's up, hose down. Well, you motherfuckers bounce to this. You know what I mean? Well, all right, guys. Tomato cans again. Thanks for listening. B, as always, brother. Good to talk to you, man.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, for sure. Tomato cans out. Peace.
Peace.